All right, and welcome to Sports DNA with Daniel and Andrew. I'm Daniel.
I'm Andrew.
All right, so let's get right into it. Last Thursday, we had the draft. NBA draft. No surprise, Zion Williamson goes number 1 overall. Did you see any surprises there in that top 4 or 5 picks?
No, it seemed like it went exactly how they predicted. Zion number 1, John Morant number 2, and RJ Barrett number 3. So I really didn't see any surprises there, but I found it surprising how teams traded players and stuff. What teams were looking for them? That's what I found surprising.
Yeah, how about Duke University, man? I mean, Duke, 3 guys in the top 10. Zion, number 1, of course. RJ Barrett goes number 3 to the Knicks. And then Cam Reddish.
Yeah, they always have great players that go on to have great push them along in the championship games. Always getting them deep in the tournament. And then they go on to have great careers in the NBA. And it seems like they're always restacking with new high school students, especially with this group. After Zion and their group, they just got back to full strength, it seems like.
Yeah, and one of the things about this draft, I mean, it was very top heavy, I think. I guess probably any draft might be like that. But this one seems to be loaded with Zion. Of course, going number 1. The future looks kind of bright for the NBA. The NBA always kind of goes through seasons. Who's going to be the next whoever, Michael Jordan, who's going to be the next LeBron, who's going to be the next Kobe. It seems like there's always kind of this kind of thing going on. And we might find ourselves, 7-8 years from now saying who's going to be the next Zion. And so the NBA future at least looks bright from that perspective, from a talent perspective.
Yeah, it's always exciting seeing what players are going to create a new path in their new game and their style of play. Something that's never been seen before, and something that you can't even compare to players before them.
Yeah, here in Oklahoma, they were talking a lot about. I heard on a couple of different sports stations, and even read some articles. They say the Thunder are going to get Cameron Johnson. Well, he was nowhere near number 21, or Thunder ended up picking 23. But Cameron Johnson goes number 11. So somebody saw something big in him. So he goes number 11. And so I was hoping that the Thunder would be able to get him, pick him up. But instead, we go with a guy that we really don't know a whole lot about. And so we have, Darius Bazley. We don't really have a picture of what he is because we don't have any stats or anything to go by. He didn't play college ball. Instead, took an internship with New Balance as kind of a shoe company. All right, and so it's kind of interesting that he goes with New Balance. All these other guys doing Nike, maybe Under Armour. So that part's kind of interesting. But from strictly a basketball standpoint, we don't really know much at all about Darius Bazley.
Yeah, something that's never been done before, taking an internship, not going to college, especially when you're a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. So it was very interesting how the Thunder took that chance on him with the first overall pick.
Yeah, it really is. And really kind of I don't know anything about this guy other than what I've been reading. One of the things that ESPN had on their website, they talk about him being a 6'9", right around there, being kind of a quick player, quick on his feet. And what's funny is they're describing more of physical features rather than talent. So, and that kind of puts a little bit of question within me of is this guy, does he have the talent to make it? Is there a reason that he didn't play college ball? Had he played college ball, would we know his name? Would we have something to go by? Would he be drafted?
Yeah, I see some similarities between him and another Thunder player. Their forward, the name's skipping my mind because the season's been so long. But Jeremy Grant, there it is. Their games look a lot similar. It seems like Grant is a lot longer and taller than him, but you can see that Beasley might have the talent perspective, more talent because he came out of high school being a 5-star, coming straight out of it, first round pick. So you can see that Beasley came out more talented. So it's going to be exciting to see how they look when they're both on the court.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see, and I guess we'll learn more as summer ball goes on a little bit about who he is and his potential. From what I understand, he had a really good NBA combine, so there must have been something there that Presti saw. Now, Sam Presti, the GM for the Oklahoma City Thunder, he has a knack for finding talent in some strange places, and so I'm wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt. However, I was sitting there and I always say his name wrong, but Bobo, he was in here available at that time, and I thought for sure that he would be a guy that you'd want to grab up. He ends up falling pretty far down the list in this draft, but I was thinking a guy like that might be a good one. We talked a little bit about him even before the draft happened, about him being a potential candidate for drafting by the Thunder. But instead, we get Beasley, and I have to trust that Sam Presti and the Oklahoma City Thunder organization know what they're doing. So we don't really have a whole lot to go by. One of the things that strikes me in that same analysis that they're giving him says he has unconventional, this is talking about needs for improvement. He says he has unconventional shooting mechanics that could lead to inconsistent results, and he only made 30% of his threes in the 50 games in the database. So he seems to be, not a great shooter, which is something that seems like to be a need for the Thunder. So maybe they saw something in the combine, they saw this potential and drafted out of potential rather than drafting out of current talent.
Yeah, maybe the Thunder didn't want to go with a complete shooter coming out of high school. Maybe they hit and miss. Maybe he doesn't translate into college as he would in the NBA, becoming a great three-point shooter. But going with a player that is consistent, like a Jeremy Grant again, that his physical features and what he can do in the post. And like Jeremy Grant, that he could probably improve his jump shot with NBA training. And another thing is I like their talking about their game they play. Instead of just having a three-point shooter in a draft pick, you could go with another player like Grant, because I really like as a Thunder fan, I like the way they play with Grant on the field, and it seems like with Grant on the bench, because how he needs rest, it seems like they can't play that style of the ball. So with him coming off the bench and him producing that same kind of play, it seems like they can go either way with those two.
Yeah, and the Thunder, they're not by any means a bad team. The Thunder are a good team. I think if man, what I wish we could do? I wish there was a way to move the Thunder to the East real quick. Because the West is stacked, man. And the East seems to be struggling a little bit here. But the Thunder, what I'm thinking here is free agency's got to be the key. The free agency coming up, the trade deadline's coming up. These are going to have to be the areas where the Thunder improves. We didn't see it in the draft per se, at least doesn't seem like we have. So it's got to be an opportunity for the Thunder now to do something with trade, free agency, some kind of way that the Thunder are going to improve. And so I know they've got on the trading block perhaps is probably Steven Adams, Andre Robinson, Dennis Schroeder. Those are probably some people that are up for trade. There's some high salary there, so they would be also freeing up some money. But you've got to get something good in return, because you don't want to get rid of some key players on your team in Adams and Schroeder. We don't know how Robinson's going to perform yet, or if he's going to be able to play. It seems like every time he gets out there and he's ready to play, there's another setback. And so, I'm hoping we haven't seen the last of him, because he was doing great. He's an amazing defensive player, one of the best defensive players that I think I've seen. But do you think we're going to see him play again?
If we don't, it's going to be very sad, because I really like the style of basketball that they played with him. It seemed like they went a lot faster with him in the front of the defense, or leading the defense, always getting his hands on balls, always having the number one offensive player on the opposing team. It was always fun to watch the Thunder play that kind of basketball. They still had their struggles free throw wise, but their pace was always good with Robertson, so that'd be something. That's what I'm looking forward to if he comes back.
Yeah, he will be. I think we found out how valuable he was to the Thunder whenever he wasn't available anymore. There were a lot of people talking about how he shouldn't be out on the court because he can't shoot. Well, there's a lot of people for the Thunder that aren't great shooters, but what he brought defensively and just his intensity. One thing that I loved about Andre Robinson is that man played with immense intensity. Learn how to speak here. And he was running back and forth. He'd be everywhere on that court, on the defensive end and the offensive end. You just didn't like to see him wide open from 3-point line, because you knew he's going to try to take a shot. And he'd hit some of those off and on. He'd get hot on occasion. But he will definitely be missed if he's no longer going to be a part of the Thunder organization. And so we'll see what becomes of that. But I think the offseason starts now for the Thunder. It's the draft is over. Now it's up to see what Sam Presti, what the Thunder organization has up their sleeves, so to speak, in terms of bringing in talent that's going to help this team make it further in the playoffs. It's going to be tough to say to make it to the championship or make it to the Western Conference Finals. That's the goal, That's everybody's goal, to win the NBA championship. But even just to see some improvement and make it past the opening round of the NBA playoffs is going to be a tall order for the Thunder. Given the salary, man, I must be hungry, man, talking about calories here, bro. So, given the salary cap issues and things like that. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what all's going to take place, and we're going to find out a lot about the Thunder and just how good of a general manager Sam Presti is for that organization. All right, so it looks like it is about that time to take a break. On the other side, you never know what we're going to talk about, but coming up, we're going to have some college football talk. We're going to talk a little bit of Big 12 football, so you want to stick around for that. We thank you guys for listening. This is Sports DNA on Crossover Radio.
My name is George Schaefer.
And I'm Meredith Schaefer. Together, we are founders of STORM, Strategic Treatment Options and Recovery Ministries.
And we provide an individualized blueprint of recovery for both the addict and their family members, regardless of the situation in which they find themselves.
And starting in March 2019, we are opening up a sober living home for men called the Storm Shelter.
For more information, please visit our website at www.storminc.org.
Or you can call our office line, 405-503-7442. Join us in fighting for the eradication of the epidemic of addiction.
This is George and Meredith Schaefer inviting you to join us every Monday from noon to 1 p.m. right here on Crossover Radio for Chemical Conversations.
We talk about life, family, ministry, kids, marriage, you name it. No topic is off limits.
And this comes from a perspective not only from addiction recovery, but as a family walking through restoration one day at a time. So we hope you'll join us every Monday from noon to 1 p.m. right here on Chemical Conversations, where there is no chemical solution to a spiritual problem.
Hey, this is John Chris.
Hey, this is John Muskillet.
What's going on, y'all? It's Dylan Chase and DJ Squared.
Hey, it's Carrie Dove, and you're listening to Crossover Radio.
What's going on? It's your boy KB. You are listening to Radio with a Purpose.
All right, welcome back to Sports DNA with Daniel and Andrew. I'm Daniel.
I'm Andrew.
You're listening to us on Crossover Radio, Radio with a Purpose. All right, so we talked a little NBA there. We talked a little draft. Switch gears for just a little bit here. Talk a little college football coming up because, you know, it's June 24th. It's a Monday night. We got college football coming up here pretty soon. So, and you know, I like to talk college football, so it's never too early to talk about it for me. So let's talk a little bit about it. I was coming across some stuff. I spent a little time. I was just perusing the internet. Hope I used that word right. Did I use that word right?
Yep.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Yeah, one time I was trying to say perusing and I actually said pursuing, so it didn't quite come out just the way I planned. So anyway, hey, I was perusing the internet there and came across college football news, and they talk about all the Big 12 teams. This particular article, and they were talking about how everybody would finish. They had OU going number one, finishing number one in the Big 12. And what they said was that OU would win every game except for the final game of the season, which was Oklahoma State. So that's kind of interesting. What do you think of that?
I think it's very, I agree, very interesting. I feel like if OU could get through the whole schedule, I don't think they would lose to Oklahoma State the last game of the year, especially if Oklahoma State, if their predictions were correct and they maybe had also lost a couple of games or had a losing season, I don't think they could muster up the energy to go and beat OU.
Yeah, you know, and I think if they were going to pick them to lose one game, you would think they probably would have picked Texas, but they thought it would be Oklahoma State. And now, of course, that's just a prediction. That's their prediction. One thing about that game is it is always a big-time game. You know, it doesn't matter how good or bad either team is. It's going to be a fun game, and it's going to be a good game with lots of surprises, lots of emotion in that game. So, you know, that's one of the things about it. Now, let's talk a little bit about OU. Offensively, here's what's happened here. Offensively, the Sooners have lost 8 starters from last year to this year, including the Heisman Trophy winner and one of the straight-up fastest receivers I've ever seen. How do you think they're going to fare offensively this year?
Yeah, it's a lot different of a team this year. Your star receiver is gone and your quarterback is gone, so it's kind of hard to say that OU will beat Texas or how much they'll beat by Texas because they're two totally different teams. Well, OU is. Texas comes back with the same quarterback, similar to the same group of guys. So it's a lot easier to say that Texas will continue to play well, and OU is very up to...
Yeah, so Oklahoma averaged 570 yards and 48 points per game last year. All right. Now they don't have a guy named Kyler Murray in the backfield anymore. They don't have a Baker Mayfield, running the offense, Kyler Murray running the offense. But they do have a guy that's played in 2 national championship games, Jalen Hurts, coming out there, transferring from Alabama. He's he's an efficient passer, but he's not a pure passer like we've been used to seeing. We don't have Austin Kendall. He's transferred over to West Virginia, so he was the solid backup. So one of the things, if Hurts, we don't want him to get injured, but if Hurts were to get injured, we would be relying upon probably freshman Mordecai or Spencer Rattler to take over the helm, and so not a lot of experience in the backup quarterback position, but a lot of experience in a starter with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts has played at the highest level. Some say it'd be difficult to switch his game to a Big 12 kind of style, but you've seen him do it on the biggest stages. So as of witnessing him play on the biggest and most important games, I don't think it would be that hard for him to just tinker his game a little bit for Big 12 for Big 12 football and OU type of offense. So I think they'll get the similar results out of they got out of Baker and Kyler.
Now Hollywood Brown, man, he was a crazy fast receiver, explosive. If he gets that ball in the open field, it's a touchdown. We're gonna really miss that guy. And of course he was injured the last couple of games there for the Sooners last season. He tried to give it a go in the championship or in the playoff game. But he ended up not being able to. He wasn't performing at 100%, but he gave it 100%. So hats off to that guy. Great player. He will definitely be missed. His explosive ability will be missed. However, we still got a guy named CeeDee Lamb out there on the field. CeeDee Lamb is an NFL type. I bet he'll be drafted in the NFL when it's ready, when it's time for him to go. And he's a great receiver. Lee Morris kind of started coming on a little bit there towards the end. Calcaterra, he's a guy that can get up there and bring down that ball, kind of like Andrews was, and so Calcaterra is out there, and then we've got some freshmen coming in that were highly touted, highly recruited. They haven't been proven on the college level yet, but highly recruited receivers. So there are some changes there as far as who they'll be throwing the ball to, but it's also a change in the one throwing the ball. And so maybe an advantage is maybe Shepard. Remember when Sterling Shepard got hurt and Baker Mayfield all of a sudden looked like he couldn't pass it as well for a game or two? He was a favorite receiver, and then when he got hurt, then all of a sudden we get, we've had Hollywood Brown. He's super good. He's been a favorite receiver. So maybe Jalen Hurts is going to find his favorite guy.
Yeah, seems like OU again in another year lost their best receiver in Hollywood Brown, but again this year they haven't taken a step back. But receiving core wise, CeeDee Lamb coming back for his senior year, looking to improve off that great season in that game against Alabama. These freshmen, you could see how well the receiving core was last year, but with how highly recruited these guys were, you got to say that they're going to be better than the group last year. And Calcaterra and they just have an extra year on them, so they know Calcaterra making big plays, and he knows it's going to be a regular now that they know what to expect from him. So with all that, with a year on their belt and some really highly recruited guys, I don't think OU's going to take a step back receiving wise.
Yeah, and they keep getting quarterback recruits. I think with Lincoln Riley there, it's going to become. The University of Oklahoma OU, but pretty soon it seems like it's going to be QBU, quarterback university, because all these top quarterbacks are committing to OU, at least verbally. A couple of them are already there. Spencer Rather, highly recruited guy. We've had other verbal commits to the Oklahoma Sooners, and so I think as long as Lincoln Riley is there and they're running his offense, it's going to be quite a pool of talent that they can pull from. Quite a bit of talent they can pull from as far as quarterback goes, and and every receiver wants a good quarterback to throw them the ball, because if you don't have the great arm throwing you the ball, they can't get the ball to you as a receiver, then you don't appear to be a great receiver. So I think those kind of go hand in hand. Now, running back wise, Kennedy Brooks, he started coming on strong last year, and he's going to be back. Kennedy Brooks, 5'11", 205 pounds. He's just a sophomore. And then Trey Sermon coming back. Trey Sermon, he's that 6 feet, 224 pound junior, and they can kind of pack a 1-2 punch. You also have T.J. Pledger as a third option. T.J. came on a little bit last year. We saw glimpses of greatness in him.
Yeah, OU running backs having the next man up mindset with the two starting running backs getting hurt. You saw Brooks and Sermon really step up and really perform, even looking to take that spot. So OU running backs always having that next man up mindset.
Yeah, they're getting it done. Now, offensive line is where I think that's where we're going to see the issues. OU had one of the best offensive lines in the country last season. And of the 5 front players, they lose Cody Ford, Bobby Evans, Drew Samia, and Ben Powers. All of them going to the NFL. All of them drafted into the NFL. So that shows you the talent that OU had at offensive line. And so what we have left is the center, Creed Humphrey. He's an amazing talent. But it's going to be kind of an unproven line now, because those guys that kind of did the blocking, opening up those big holes for the running backs to go through, that blocked well to give Kyler Murray time and Baker Mayfield before then. Those guys are gone now, and so it's going to be a new cast there. So it's going to be interesting to see how that offensive line plays.
Yeah, being a lineman, it's a lot about experience and size. So they're going to be losing a lot of experience with that group leaving. But hopefully this group comes back, hoping to improve every year and trying to be as great as that other cast was.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see on all of this. When it comes to college football here, and see what all is in store for us. I'm interested to see kind of how the Big 12 is going to play out. And if they're going to if they're still going to start rising in stock. Texas seems to be on the upswing. They had a good season last year. OU has been consistently good. Hopefully their defense will be better this year with the new coordinator coming in and kind of a new type of mindset. So we're going to have to wait and see on that. They're going to play their first game on a Sunday night on September 1st. So we'll be tuning into that one. Right now we're going to take a really quick break, and we'll continue to talk whenever we come back on the other side. You're listening to Sports DNA with Daniel and Andrew on Crossover Radio, radio with a purpose.
Hi, my name is Nick Tarter, and I'm one of the pastors at New Covenant Fellowship in Bethany, Oklahoma. We are located at 6736 Northwest 39th Expressway, inside of Serve. No matter your age, background, or past church experience, we want to invite you to be a part of our family. We are a church where you can belong, even while you're still trying to figure out who God has made you to be. We meet each Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. right here at Serve for small groups, and at 10:45 a.m. for our community worship celebration. We also meet on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. to talk about gospel and what it looks like to live together as a Christian community. You can find out more about us by visiting newcovenantokc.org, or, of course, you can just come by for a visit. I look forward to personally greeting you when you do.
Ah, do you hear that? That means the start of a good day in my household. If I don't have that first cup to begin my morning, then I'm guaranteed my day is going to be a struggle. And nobody makes better coffee than Grounds for Compassion coffee. It's coffee with conviction. So head on over to their website, g4c.coffee. That's G4c.coffee. Or give them a call at 405-603-1902 to get your own cup of Get Up and Go.
Hi, this is DK.
And this is Joy.
Join us every Saturday at 11
for the Top 11 at 11
on Crossover Radio.
Radio with a purpose.
All right, are you ready for this? More Sports DNA with Daniel and Andrew. I'm Daniel.
I'm Andrew.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the Oklahoma Sooners. Now let's switch gears, go to south of the border, talk a little bit about Texas Longhorns. All right, so that same article I was mentioning before, the College Football News, what they have there, they're talking about Texas finishing the season 9-3, they're predicting. They've got losses to LSU, OU, and Iowa State as potential losses. That's their predictor. Let's talk a little bit about that LSU game.
The second game of the season is going to be for Texas, so they're going to have to be prepared. Come off of that first game against
Louisiana
Tech. Come off a good game. Hopefully start off good early because you need to get the ball movement because they're such a good defense. Late games they can shut you out, so you just need to be able to move that ball consistently. And defensively, their quarterback not the most efficient, but he has playmakers around him, so you got to watch out for them. And they just got to hopefully do it for Texas and their organization, but also for the Big 12. Make the Big 12 look better, help them out, and then kind of show what teams are the best in conferences. Because LSU is most predicted to beat Alabama, the powerhouse. So it'd really shake the standings if Texas wouldn't beat them.
Yeah, and there's always talk of the SEC being a powerhouse conference, and rightfully so. They, from top to bottom, they may be the best conference in college football. And then a lot of people they're down on the Big 12, particularly because of the defense of the Big 12. Texas has a fairly solid defense. And I think I wonder sometimes if it's not so much that the Big 12 defense is terrible. I mean, they look like it. They give up a lot of yards and a lot of points. Or if it's that the offenses in the Big 12 are so good. There's probably truth to both of those. The SEC, though, historically has been a very good defensive conference, and so it's going to be a good matchup to see Texas Longhorns go in and take on Louisiana State. I think the game is in is at Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So that gives them a little bit of an advantage rather than going to LSU to play, because that's a tough place to play. That crowd,
especially in Death Valley.
Yeah, that crowd in LSU, man, they are loud and they are proud. So, and Texas fans are pretty much the same way. So maybe the crowd will provide some support for the Texas Longhorns. That's going to be a good one to see, though, to really see if was it a fluke, that they beat Georgia? Was Georgia just disappointed that they weren't playing in the playoff, and so instead they had to settle for the Sugar Bowl? Or is it a big achievement for Texas to get to the Sugar Bowl?
It was a big accomplishment by Texas to make the Sugar Bowl and then go on to beat Georgia, but it didn't seem like Georgia was completely there. It didn't seem like Georgia gave 100%. You could tell that Texas got away with a lot more things that you wouldn't see Georgia give up. Their quarterback play wasn't amazing. Probably the quarterback Jake Fromm probably down about losing to Alabama for the second year in a row, knowing that he had him in the first half. So Texas wanting to show that it wasn't a fluke last year, coming in beating predicted the second or third best team in the SEC would be a big improvement.
Yeah, it really would for them. LSU, and I'm kind of back and forth on who to pick in this game. There's a part of me that says Texas is for real, but there's a part of me that says I don't trust Texas because they haven't given us much to trust in lately. They had a great season last year, but was that season just going to be kind of a one hit wonder, so to speak? Or are they really contenders now? Are they really contenders for the Big 12 title, Big 12 conference? Are they nationally contenders? LSU has been a very good team so far. Now LSU's kind of struggled from their standpoint from how they were, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. When they played OU, they won the champion, they won that game. So it's been kind of interesting to see kind of the SEC, and one thing that I like about that conference is, you have there's Alabama, and then there's everyone else. But one of the things that we're seeing other teams coming up and saying, "Hey, it doesn't have to be them anymore. We can rise up. We can be good." Georgia can play against Alabama. LSU can play against Alabama. They're perfectly capable of beating the Crimson Tide, and so that's one of the things going to be good to see too. Have we seen the last of the Alabama and everybody else talk?
It looks like we have, because Clemson coming in beating them. It didn't seem like Clemson was overhyped because of last season, how they performed against Alabama. So you can tell that the team that you had last year could be much different from the team you have this year. And the predictions might say that you got beat by them last year by this much, but the predictions can't predict what you're going to do to them this year and how well you're going to perform. But how is Texas going to beat LSU? What are they going to need to do in order to win this game?
Texas, I think they're going to have a very good game, solid game from Sam Ehlinger. Ehlinger has at times been inconsistent. He's at times not thrown the ball as well as he would like. he's gonna miss Lil Jordan Humphrey, who went early to the draft. So he's gonna miss that receiver, but he still got a good set of receivers there that he can pass the ball to. He's gonna have to use all areas of the field because if you go up against LSU and you are only using a certain part of the field, they're so good defensively that they're going to figure that out. They're going to be able to stop you. So in order for Texas to be able to beat LSU, they're going to have to be able to use all areas of the field. Ellinger's going to have to see the field well to find his receiver quickly. Going to have to get it off, and then they've got to establish the run game. LSU is kind of par for course in terms of the SEC being able to stop the run, and so, but Texas has to get that running game going so that they can open up the passing game. Because if they're just relying only on the pass, they're unable to run the ball. Now Ellinger is a big guy; he likes to run too, but you don't want to see him out there running and risking injury either. So we're going to have to see how he's going to handle that. How is he going to handle the pressure?
Yeah, you're gonna hope that he stays cool headed, never gets too high, never gets too low about a play, because unlike when he beat OU that in the regular season game, despite OU's scoring comeback, he never seemed to get down, and he always trusted in his team, and then in the final play, trusted in his kicker to go and make the field goal. But different way with LSU, not the threatening offense, but the threatening defense. So you can't expect Ellinger to get too upset about a missed blocked or a sack, because LSU is a great team and they will get those. So if Ellinger can stay calm and level-headed the whole entire game and plays a good game finding his receivers, I think they have a really good chance, because with how limited we think Ellinger is, he does make plays for his team, and I think they'll be enough to win in that game.
So you picking Texas to win that one, you think?
I'm picking Texas to win.
Or are you waiting to see? I mean, all of these are just predictions, and they're all way too early predictions. That's what we like to call them, way too early predictions. So we have way too early predictions of the NBA last one, talking about Art Pellet, all these different teams. And we have way too early college football predictions. But it's going to be really good to see. Part of me wants to say Texas is going to be able to pull that one off. But I don't think that I trust Texas fully enough. And so I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say LSU will probably win that one. But I think it's going to be a very close game. Anybody could win that one. They're both good teams.
It's a toss up. Whatever team plays their game the best is going to be the winner.
Yeah, it seems like, and we're not going to learn a whole lot about Texas that first game, I don't think, against that opponent. And so we really won't know anything until they get in there.
Very simple. Saving all their stuff for LSU that second game.
Yeah, so we're not going to know a whole lot about them. It's almost going to be like a flip a coin kind of thing. But I'm going to take LSU over Texas. But they also have in their predictor, so they had their prediction on College Football News of Texas losing that LSU game. They also have them losing to Oklahoma. What do you think about that game?
It's just, I don't think that Texas will lose 3 games this year. I think that the loss to LSU is a very defining game for them this season. Once you lose one of those big games, every game becomes more important. It's kind of hard to lose 3 games in a season, especially if LSU if they win that game. And it's also a good motivator, knowing that they could beat anybody in the conference because they just beat LSU. So if if they went on and beat LSU, I don't think they would be scared of OU or any team they have lost last season, because they did something that they probably wouldn't have done in the past seasons.
Yeah, one of the things that's going to help Texas, whether they win or they lose against LSU, is the style of play that the Tigers play with is very very hard-nosed, aggressive type football. And so one of the things that's going to happen as a result of that game, whether the Longhorns win or lose, is they're going to come out tougher and stronger and play more aggressive. I think, anyways. And so whenever we get to that game in Dallas, OU versus Texas, it's going to be quite a sight. It's going to be quite a game. Oklahoma, if things go as people are predicting, then Oklahoma will be coming in undefeated. Texas will have either lost a close one, I think, to LSU, or will have won a close one to LSU, and then be undefeated in the rest of their games. And so that would be quite a matchup. OU Texas is always quite a matchup, and it doesn't matter. It's another one kind of like Oklahoma State, where it doesn't matter how good or bad a team is, they play hard against each other. It's a true rivalry game in every sense of the word. And so that's going to be just a great game. Now they have them also losing to Iowa State, and I'm not really seeing that one. Iowa State had a great defense, maybe one of the better if not the best defense in the Big 12 last year. They would lose the games, but they would hold their opponents to some of their lowest scoring games also. And so, but I don't know. I think Texas might be a little too much for Iowa State to handle this year.
Yeah, Iowa State losing their star receiver, Hakeem Butler, seemed like he single-handedly beat OU that one time, catching that pass to end the game. He's going to join Kyler Murray in the Cardinals, so Kyler gonna get a great offensive weapon.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So Kyler Murray in the NFL for the Cardinals. That's gonna be interesting. Maybe we can talk about that whenever we come back from the break. All right, but it's we're right up on one, so we're gonna need to take a short break. You're listening to Sports DNA on Crossover Radio, radio with a purpose.
I just love it out here. It's so peaceful, and you get chills when you come out, and you feel the presence of God, man. And, it's something in the feelings. That's something a lot of us have never had.
Opiates, meth, alcohol. Are you addicted? Rob's Ranch is a non-profit, Christ-based treatment center for men located in central Oklahoma. Rob's Ranch uses proven treatment methods and a program of spiritual growth to give men the opportunity to restore their lives and their relationships. Every member on staff has been there and are now in recovery themselves. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to drugs or alcohol, please call 405-253-3838 or find Rob's Ranch on Facebook or online at robsranch.org.
They're just so accepting, so caring. It'll change your life if you're not careful.
Neuro Renovations is a faith-based chiropractic office that specializes in treating warriors, yet it's gentle enough for your kids. They work at freeing the nervous system so it can send full signal to the body. Their treatment is tailored specifically for your needs rather than putting people into a mold. Call or stop by for new patient specials and mention Crossover Radio for an extra 10% off. You can call Neuro Renovations at 405-200-1931, or you can stop by the office at 13325 North MacArthur Boulevard in Oklahoma City.
Whether you need a professional writer to build or expand your online presence, or fresh new designs and new perspective to build your business, where do you start? Tales from the Click Media is committed to telling your story in a way that promotes business growth, consistent branding, and long-term success. So whether you have 1 or 100 employees, no tale is too small to tell. Call us today at 405-620-6200 or visit our website at talesfromtheclickmedia.com.
All right, we are back once again, Sports DNA, with Daniel and Andrew. I'm Daniel.
I'm Andrew.
All right, so we went into break kind of teasing Kyler Murray, right? So, got a question for you about Kyler Murray. You think he's going to start?
With how well he's looking in preseason, not preseason, but practice OTAs, you got to say he's going to start.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's going to get it. Part of the reason I think that is because Cliff Kingsbury is the head coach, and his system. You know, probably the one that's going to know it the best on that team is Kyler Murray. He's going to be the one that can run it the best because it's a Big 12 type system, and so Kyler's going to know some of the lingo. He's going to know the routes and all of that. So I think he's going to be able to at least see the field and get out there. You think he starts from day one?
Yeah. I just thought it was funny how at the beginning of the season, before he got drafted, that we were all talking about his height and how he wouldn't be measure up. But in OTAs, he looks good out there. He looks the right size to be playing quarterback. So that's always a good thing to talk about.
Yeah, now he's not the tallest guy, but he is a perfectly capable quarterback out there. Let's talk about this. You think he's going to have a better rookie season than Baker Mayfield had?
Oh, that's tough. I think he's going to have a better one. I think that the pieces around him were much better than what Baker had around him to start off the season. Baker set the QB touchdown record for a rookie, and I think Kyler breaks that this year.
You think he's going to break it?
I think he's going to break it. Baker started the third game of the season. I think Kyler comes off the first game little rough because he's a rookie and it's going to be NFL defenses, but I think he gets a couple of touchdowns, eases into it, and starts ascending, getting his team some wins and some touchdowns along the way.
As far as rookie seasons go, I think Kyler Murray is going to have a good one, but I don't know if it's going to be better than Baker Mayfield's rookie season was. And here's why. The Cleveland Browns were terrible for a long time. They didn't even win a game. And then all of a sudden, they still don't win a game. And then here comes Baker out on the field. They win again. So Kyler might have a better rookie season, but I don't know that it's going to be quite as dramatic. For one, Baker Mayfield's his personality is bigger than he is. His personality is kind of larger than life. You either love him or you hate him. There's no he's okay. You either love Baker Mayfield or you can't stand the guy. And I think that polarization that he has is gonna be why his rookie season is gonna be remembered more. But I think Kyler Murray is gonna have a really good one as well. Do you agree with that, or you?
Yeah, I agree with that. Baker's a very polar person, but I think Kyler is just as good. I think he's one of the strongest quarterbacks. Maybe not the tallest, but he's one of the strongest. With these Cardinal supporting cast that he has, Larry Fitzgerald as his number one receiver. Great hands. You can always trust him in the red zone, and Dave Johnson as a running back. I feel like he's not going to have as many touchdowns as he would with Dave Johnson, because it's going to be so easy just to give him the ball in that red zone and let him just go to work. But I still think he'll get a lot of touchdowns this season. But if he doesn't break that record, that's why David Johnson is just one of just a top running back in the league. And when you're in the red zone, and you just have to hand him the ball. So, but that's the only reason why I would think that he doesn't beat Baker in touchdowns for rookie season.
And I tell you what, one of the things that we're noticing here, earlier whenever we were talking about the SEC and we were talking about the Big 12, I kind of alluded to this question, saying, is it that the SEC defenses are so much better? Or is it that the Big 12 defenses look really bad because the Big 12 offenses are really good? And here's a case for the Big 12 offenses being good, and that is Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray plays like he's capable of, if he has a big breakout season this rookie year, then you're going to have three of the most talked about quarterbacks all coming from the Big 12. Mahomes, of course, from Texas Tech, and then Baker and Kyler Murray from OU.
I agree. Just because the Big 12 would be producing the top three quarterbacks in the league, but that doesn't make up for the fact that their defense is almost not there at all. So even if Kyler Murray plays well and Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield keep having these great seasons, it doesn't ignore the fact that the Big 12 doesn't have a defense at all.
Yeah, Big 12 definitely needs to get better on the defensive end. I mean, for sure, definitely 100%. But you know, if I'm a defensive player and I want to say I'm playing corner and I want to show off my skills as a corner, do I go and play against Patrick Mahomes, Baker, Kyler? Do I play against guys like that? Or do I go to a conference where they don't pass quite as much and I have maybe an opportunity to look better than maybe I even really am?
Well, it depends. If you want to change that organization, I think it's gonna need more than just you. You're gonna have to get some better recruits as good as you or you trust to play with you coming into that season. Trying to change that mindset of a defense instead of just a solo player. But if you are a player that is a cornerback and that wants to go to the NFL, I would definitely go to one of these bigger schools that make you maybe look better than you are with that great defensive cast. But that's the move to go unless you're bringing some guys that you trust with you on the defense in the recruiting class. I don't see why you would want to go to a Big 12 offensive school with no defense.
All right. That's good stuff right there. All right, so you know what? We're running out of time. Down to our last minute. Any final word you want to say?
Big 12 needs to get more defensive players.
More defensive players, Big 12. All right, news break. Big 12 needs more defensive players. How's things going at Summer Pride?
It's going good. About to take a week off, so hope the next week we can hit it just as hard.
All right, so during that week, man, maybe find some workout time and all that kind of stuff. All right, hey, thank you guys for joining in on Crossover Radio with a Purpose. This has been Sports DNA with Daniel and Andrew. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember to download the app, the Crossover app. Great music, great content. All right, you won't regret it. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. Well, actually, hear you next week. Or we won't hear you. We'll hear us. Bye.